There are champions who hold titles, and then there are champions who own divisions. Champions who walk into every fight with such suffocating authority, such relentless forward pressure and technical cruelty that the belt around their waist almost feels like an afterthought. The real statement is not the gold. The real statement is what happens to every fighter who steps into the ring and tries to take it. Saho Yoshino is that kind of champion. The K1 flyweight title holder from Japan is 21 wins deep into a professional career that has produced only 2 losses, and she has spent the last several fights sending a message to every contender watching from the outside. The message is simple, direct, and delivered with the kind of physical emphasis that leaves no room for misinterpretation. You can come for this belt, but you will not enjoy the experience of trying. Now that message has a specific recipient. Mona Kimura is 4 wins into her professional career, socially viral, increasingly dangerous, and closing in on a title shot that the boxing world is beginning to take seriously. She is patient, precise, and technically composed in a way that suggests her 4 wins are not the ceiling of what she is capable of. She controls distance with intelligence. She picks her moments rather than manufacturing them through volume. She has beaten aggressive fighters before by refusing to meet them on their terms. In theory, she has the tools to make Saho uncomfortable. In theory. But theory is what gets tested in that ring. And before anyone can assess Mona Kimura's chances of walking out of a title fight as the new champion, they need to sit down and watch what Saho Yoshino has done to every serious opponent placed in front of her. Because what the tape reveals is not a champion who wins on points and hopes for the best. What it reveals is a machine. A relentless, technically evolved, psychologically dominant machine who has broken fighters round by round with a consistency that should frighten everyone on the contender list. To properly understand what Saho represents as a champion, you start in March 2024, when she was written off by almost everyone paying attention. Her opponent was Antonia Priya, the reigning K1 flyweight champion, and Saho was the heavy underdog. The people counting her out had reasons that seemed reasonable at the time. Saho had 16 wins and 2 losses entering that fight. She was experienced but not dominant on paper. She had not yet demonstrated the kind of elite-level performance that earns genuine belief from the analytical community. What happened inside that cage fundamentally rewrote the assessment. From the opening seconds, Saho shifted into a gear that the champion had clearly not anticipated. She walked Priya down immediately, not with the cautious probing of a fighter testing the water, but with the aggressive certainty of someone who had already decided how the fight was going to go and was simply executing the plan. The shots she landed thudded across the arena with a heaviness that the audience felt, even from a distance. By round 2, Priya's eyes were beginning to show the punishment. Both of them. The kind of facial damage that accumulates when a fighter cannot create enough distance to allow recovery between exchanges. By round 3, Saho was in complete control, pressing forward without mercy, her opponent searching desperately for a knockout that never materialized. After 3 brutal rounds, Saho had done what nobody believed she would do. She had taken the belt, proven the doubters comprehensively wrong, and announced the beginning of a title reign that has only grown more impressive with each subsequent defense. Her first title defense brought Laura Fernandez, a 65-fight veteran from Spain, who arrived in Japan specifically to bring the belt back to Europe. Veterans with 65 fights have seen everything the sport produces. They have experienced pressure fighters and power punchers and technical boxers. They know how to survive, how to manage adversity, and how to stay in a fight when it is not going their way. Fernandez was not a decorative opponent. She was a genuine test of whether Saho's performance against Priya was a one-night statement or the beginning of something sustained. The answer came from the opening bell, and it was unambiguous. Saho took command immediately, marching forward with the same controlled aggression that had dismantled the former champion, landing heavy strikes, that echoed through the arena round after round. Fernandez was not passive. She was experienced and competitive, and she came to fight. But Saho gave her no breathing room, no period of sustained distance where the veteran could find her rhythm and execute a game plan. 3 rounds of suffocating pressure later, Saho had her first title defense secured, and the pattern of her championship reign was becoming clear. She does not have bad nights. She does not give opponents rounds to build confidence and momentum. She imposes herself from the first exchange, and she does not stop imposing until the final bell. The second defense elevated everything. Sofia Salakadu was the opponent, and the fight was the most complete performance of Saho's championship tenure. From the very first exchanges, Saho took the center of the ring with the authority of someone who had already claimed the territory and was simply reminding the challenger of that fact. Every time Salakadu attempted to settle into her own rhythm, Saho answered with sharp combinations and renewed pressure. The center of the ring never changed hands. The pace never shifted in the challenger's favor. Body shots, leg kicks, hooks, knees, front kicks, combinations thrown in bunches with the timing and variety of a fighter who has an answer for every adjustment her opponent attempts. By the final round, the result had been decided for several minutes. Saho closed out 3 rounds of sustained, one-sided dominance with the discipline of a champion who understands that controlling the final impression of a performance is as important as controlling the opening. Another opponent, another decision, another statement delivered with maximum clarity. So what does all of this mean for Mona Kimura? It means that the contender walking toward this title fight is not approaching a vulnerable or declining champion. She is approaching a fighter operating at the peak of her capabilities, with championship experience now embedded into how she thinks, how she moves, and how she manages the specific pressures that title fights produce differently from regular contests. Saho Yoshino, at 21 and 2, is a more complete fighter than she was when she won the belt. She is heavier in her combinations, sharper in her timing, and more confident in her ability to control the center of the ring against any style she encounters. And yet, Mona Kimura is not simply another name on the contender list. She is genuinely different from anyone Saho has faced during this championship run. Her sidekicks are accurate and well-timed, capable of disrupting forward pressure before it reaches the range where Saho is most dangerous. Her straight right hand follows defensive movement with the kind of timing that has caught aggressive fighters mid-charge, in the half-second window between their commitment to a combination and the moment they reset. She is patient. She is calm. She does not panic when the fight gets physical. These are not cosmetic attributes. They are the specific tools that could make Saho's approach more complicated than the tape suggests it will be. The vulnerability in Saho's game, and it is a small one, but it is real, is what happens when her aggression outpaces her discipline. She has moments, visible on film, where the instinct to press and finish creates brief openings in her defensive positioning, combinations that extend slightly longer than they need to, weight shifts that leave the chin fractionally exposed at the conclusion of a sequence. Against most opponents, these moments pass without consequence. Against Mona Kimura, they are precisely the moments that her game is designed to exploit. This is the fight that defines what the next chapter of this division looks like. One fighter wins by making the ring small and the night long and the pressure unbearable. The other wins by making the fight precise and patient, and decided in single moments rather than accumulated rounds. Which philosophy prevails when they finally collide is the question that every serious student of this sport should be watching closely. Can Mona Kimura shock the champion and rewrite the story of this division? Or does Saho Yoshino march forward, apply the pressure, and remind the contender that being viral and being ready for this are two entirely different things? Drop your prediction in the comments right now and tell us how you see this fight ending. If this breakdown gave you something to think about, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another breakdown from Ring Zone.